Hi everyone, this is Kelvin Hoy, the Cinephile. Thank you so much for clicking this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. So yes, today I will be speaking about Aladdin. Now this will be a spoilers video. Um, I think most people have seen the original film, but there are a couple of spoilers in terms of things that they changed. I just think it's just more fun to talk about it freely with all of you, and it's a little bit easier as well. So I'm only going to do one review, or one video, just a spoilers review. So I hope you enjoy it. So yes, Aladdin 2019. That's what it's been named. So this film has been in production for a couple of years, and it's had a bit of a rocky road to finally releasing. I watched it last night, and so I've been marinating on it for over 24 hours, which I like to do. And yes, so in terms of marketing and some of the trailers and commercials, it's had some backlash. It's had some people say it looks terrible. Or it looks strange, which really didn't happen with Beauty and the Beast or the Jungle Book, as far as I know. I didn't really follow the Jungle Book that closely, or Maleficent, but for Beauty and the Beast, I really didn't hear any of that. Of course, there's a common criticism for these live-action remakes, is that they're not necessary. Disney should be doing original films, which is, certainly where their animation, Disney animation has sort of grown and sort of been very successful at, all these original films, or films that are adapted from very old stories, old fairy tales, which most of them are. Even Tangled is based on Rapunzel. So yes, this film had a bit of a rocky road, a lot of criticism. So when they first announced it, I was a little bit indifferent. I believe this was after Beauty and the Beast, which I watched, I enjoyed. I liked that film. But I was just, oh, they're doing Aladdin, and I was like, oh, okay. And then, oh, Will Smith is cast as the genie, and I thought, oh, that's a little frightening, because you sort of forget how good certain actors are when you haven't seen them for a while, or you haven't seen them in a film for a long period of time, or if their last film wasn't very good. And so I didn't have a visceral reaction to it. I just thought, okay, Will Smith will do what he does, and hopefully it's good. And so this film, they shot it, went through principal photography. There really wasn't any reports of it being poor or anything like that. I believe the first teaser came out over 6 months ago. This was late 2017, and really that's the only teaser I've watched. It's the one where they start with the music, the music swelling, and it's basically the desert, and they go to the Cave of Wonders, and it's just Aladdin, going to touch the lamp for the first time. And that's the only one that I've officially watched all the way through, and I saw a couple of little clips here and there, or images really, over social media, and just maybe one quick commercial before I watched it last night. So I've been trying to stay away from too many trailers. So my method is I usually like to watch the first trailer and get a taste of the film. So whether that's It Chapter 2, I just watched that teaser trailer recently, pardon me, or Aladdin's teaser trailer. I like the teaser trailers, and then I can get a sense of the film, and I don't like watching trailer number 2 or 3 because of spoilers. So usually they leak something, right? Or they show some important scene, which they really shouldn't. and then I want the film to be a surprise, so I want to see as little as possible. That's just my thinking. But yes, so the expectations for this film, that's why I'm talking so much about sort of the genesis of the film, is the expectations for the film were quite low going into this weekend. People were, from what I read, people were really afraid or really reveling in, depends which camp you're in. People were really saying, this could be a bomb, and like this could be terrible. Like this could get 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, or this could make 75 million for 4 days. It's opening on Memorial Day weekend for America, which is one of their holidays, so they get the day off on Monday. So 75 million over 4 days it sounds like a lot of money, obviously, but it's really not for a Disney live action film. I believe Beauty and the Beast made, this was in March 2017, I believe it made over 150 million, and that was 3 days. So there were some low expectations. I have some notes about the film and what I thought about the film, which I should get to. But yeah, so there were low expectations. Every film I try to go in with an open mind, and there's always something in the back of my mind that I say, this could be terrible, right? Like, this could be not terrible, but this could be really not for me, or it could be mediocre, right? It could disappoint you, even though you think, they have a great director, they have a good cast, and it could still disappoint you. So that's always a possibility. I try to keep that in mind as well. So, Aladdin 2019. So I want to start off with my reviews. I'm going to do positives, mixed, and then negative. Because there's some things, I was thinking of getting rid of mixed, but then there are some things that are sort of good, and then sort of placed in a strange spot, or not executed as well as it could be in this film. And I think that's quite a few films. I was about to say most, but no, quite a few films are like that, right? Where you're like, oh, I like that idea, but then it was sort of odd, or they didn't go far enough with it, or they went too far with it. So I'll keep those three for now. So let's do positive, mixed, negative, and then overall, or final thoughts. So positive, I really liked Will Smith. I really liked the genie, just like the original, and I'm going to reference the original. It's impossible not to compare the two. But I really liked Will Smith. I'm sort of a Will Smith defender. I know what he's capable of because I've seen Pursuit of Happiness. I don't know if he's the most watched actor in my life. I've seen him in so many things: Independence Day, I, Robot, Pursuit of Happiness, Aladdin now. What was the other one? Oh, I can't remember right now, but it was good as well. What was it? Oh, gosh darn it. I can't remember. Sorry, I'm drawing blank. But yeah, I really like Will Smith. He's a good actor. No matter what you think about his personality in real life, or his persona, he's a good actor. He proves it again here. You should not doubt him. He added his own energy. So this is a more relaxed energy than Robin Williams, the great late Robin Williams. So obviously all the respect in the world to Mr. Williams. But he adds a more relaxed energy. It's more sort of cool, calm energy. Robin Williams had a very frenetic pace, right? It's a great actor. They're both good actors. But, Robin Williams had a very frenetic, sort of almost chaotic pace, right, to the original Aladdin. It was like so much energy, which is incredible. And that works because that's animation. So you can't, I remember watching I believe it was The Rescuers with my sister, and I kept saying to my sister when we were watching The Rescuers, why are they, like, why are the actors speaking so slowly? Like, why is this so low energy? Like, they would speak, and it would always be like 2 second, like a 2 second pause, and then the other person would speak. Like, it was so low energy. And in Aladdin, the original animated version, like, it's so fast, right? Like, I think that was the first. Maybe there's a little bit of that in Little Mermaid as well. But for Aladdin, like, that's the first one that is so fast. It's like all these quips and all these modern references, right? He sort of revolutionized what you can do in animation, Mr. Williams. And so I thought it was really cool that Will Smith had his, he stated that his in to the role, his sort of choice was to add a little bit of hip hop to the songs. And there's actually not that much. it's pretty, like, the songs are like, all the songs are a little bit different, but they're also similar enough to the old ones that it's not jarring, or it's not like, oh, it's really like A Friend Like Me is a rock song, like it's a hardcore, heavy metal rock song. No, it's there's a little bit of hip hop flavor to Never Had a Friend Like Me, and I believe a little bit in Prince Ali, maybe some of the instrumental. This is a little bit different. I thought that was nice. I appreciated it. I thought it was a nice touch. But, and then there's some things that they do with the genie that are really original, and it sort of lends itself to Will Smith's sort of loud, energetic persona, right? And his cocky persona. So that was really, and that's what I would say is a difference. Like, there's sort of this, and Will Smith does this very well. It's very somewhat arrogant and then somewhat vulnerable, right? These two sides of the genie that Will Smith added to this new version. And that's not really there for Robin Williams' character. It's much more, say, almost friendlier, like almost nicer. And Will Smith's genie is a little bit, a little bit more arrogant, a little bit more cold, I'd say. And yeah, and the relationship between Aladdin and the genie is done really well. I feel that the friendship is a little bit more, not a little bit more complex, not complex, but a little bit more, I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's a little bit more earned in a way. Some of the dialogue at the end from Aladdin, or near the end of the film, from Aladdin, where, that's why you saved me. That's the only reason you saved me. You just want me to wish you free with my third wish. And, Will Smith's really good acting, actually. Will Smith says, "Man, I don't care about that," and like I couldn't care less about that, right? He cares that Aladdin's becoming something negative, something bad, something that he shouldn't be, or he should be careful not to become, right? This sort of selfish guy who wants to be the most important in the room, as is stated in the film. So I should talk about Aladdin as well. So Aladdin is played by, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, it's Mina Masood. So Mina Masood, when he was first cast, I really didn't like it. I thought he didn't quite look like the original Aladdin. I've really warmed up to the guy. I looked at some of his social media posts, but in the film itself, I think he does a really, really good job. He sounds like Aladdin. He has the voice. Not so much a singing ability, but we'll talk about that later. He has the voice, that sort of higher cadence to his voice. Does a really nice job in terms of charming the audience and charming, and being a charming character. I think he has a nice smile physically. I think, yeah, he does a good job in being that street rat with a heart of gold, right? And so I thought he did a good job. Naomi Scott did a really good job. She's from Power Rangers and Lemonade Mouth, if you've ever seen that, which I actually have. It's a Disney Channel original movie. So she's been with, well, in and out. She was with Disney for a while with Lemonade Mouth, and she sort of went off and did some other projects with Power Rangers, but then she came back to Disney. So, but she's been with the Disney family for, I want to say, I don't know how old the Lemonade Mouth is. Maybe 8 years old, so almost 10 years. But she does a really good job. Beautiful girl. She looks like Jasmine. That was sort of she was sort of the stabilizing factor for everyone that I knew, and spoke about, and for myself as well. It's like, oh, Jasmine looks good, right? Like every poster. So I did look at a lot of the posters and a lot of the pictures, but like, oh, she looks like Jasmine, or as close to Jasmine as possible. She looks like Jasmine. She looks good. She looks beautiful. They're doing a good job with the costumes. And yes, so I think the two leads, a lot of people have said this. A couple of people have said Mina's not the greatest actor, but I thought he did a really good job as Aladdin, actually. And I think he has a bright future. I mean, with this experience and then the next film he's doing. So acting, sometimes you need experience and to learn, and to learn tricks or learn not what to do. But I think they had a nice chemistry, Aladdin and Jasmine. I thought that some of their dialogue scenes, it's sort of stretched out a little bit. This film is, I don't know if it's a full half an hour, it might be 25 minutes, but it's around that range. It's 25 minutes to 30 minutes longer than the original film. Animation is very difficult. It takes a long time, so that's why I believe Lion King, I don't even think Lion King's 90 minutes. But anyways, those films are shorter because it just, like every frame, like every minute, costs so much, and it takes so much work that they pack in the story, and every character beat is so important. And in this one, it depends what you like, but I thought the scenes with Aladdin and Jasmine breathed a little bit more, actually, and they had a little bit more time together, or a little bit different, well, certainly a little bit different, but a little bit more dialogue together as well. So there's a scene with the maps where Aladdin shows up, and the genie shows up on the map, actually. I thought that was cute. I think it's some of the drawings or some of the animations with the genie were really cute. Yeah, so they had that scene together, and it's sort of, some things are done differently in the film. So they have that scene together in Jasmine's room, I guess, or bedroom. It's a huge room, but where they're talking about the maps of where Aladdin's from, and she can't find it. I thought that was a nice scene. They also talk. It's similar to the original film, but it's done in a different way. So they meet first, and then they do Prince Ali, and then they go to Aladdin's home or room, and they talk there. So I thought they had a couple of really nice scenes together that show their chemistry. They also have I want to mention this because it is in the positives for me. Some people might not like it, but I really liked the Bollywood dance that they had, and the fact that Aladdin is like a puppet controlled by the genie. So they did that in Never Had a Friend Like Me. And so some of the other things that I really liked in this film were their renditions of A Friend Like Me, or Never Had a Friend Like Me, Speechless, which is a new song, A Whole New World, and Prince Ali. So those are the four that I really liked. We'll talk about Speechless a little bit more later, but I like that they had a little hip hop flavor to Never Had a Friend Like Me. and Prince Ali. I thought A Whole New World. I thought that whole sequence was done really well for the most parts. Um, I thought they could have gone to more, again, the original animated film uh, went to more places that didn't really make that didn't really make that much sense. But because they go to Egypt and they go to China, um, which I know it's a magic carpet, but those scenes in the original were so beautiful, right? And it's so cool. This one is more realistic again, because it's live action. So they sort of stay from the palace. They sort of go out and sort of fly for like 5 minutes basically, and then come back towards the palace, which is, the song's not 5 minutes, so that's what happens. I did like the waterfall when they go down the waterfall. I thought that was really nice. I got chills for that. Um, but yes, so those are songs I liked. I liked the dances in Prince Ali. I think I know some people were saying it's very stagnant, but it's better in the film when you see the whole thing. And also, it's, I mean, you do see more reaction shots. So you see more shots of Jasmine and her handmaiden, Dahlia, and also from the Sultan, which I thought was nice. That's sort of like the original film as well, but again, a more calm version of that. So let's move to some things that were mixed. So some things that were mixed for me, I really like Speechless. I think it's a good song. Uh, so why is it in the mix section? It's the way they do it in the second half of the film, or actually the last act of the film, when she's sort of being taken away, and she starts singing this song, and then the guards start disappearing around her, and she's sort of fighting back, right? So the message is great, the song is good, but the way they shoot it, or the way they construct it, and the placement of it, it makes sense for her to have that moment there, or to sing, I guess, but just the guards disappearing and then her turning around, it it's a little bit jarring, and it's a little bit odd. The scene actually, like, that scene will work much better on your second and third viewing of this film, right? Like later on in life, because the scene after she stops singing, actually, she sort of turns around and she's just talking. The guards are still there, so it's just sort of her imagination, basically. It makes much more sense, and it sort of like the scene after explains the slightly strange scene beforehand, which happens in films sometimes. It's been done before, so that's why it's a mix. It's not a big deal for me. I didn't hate it, or I didn't despise it. It is also a very modern sounding song, which doesn't really fit in with these songs. Sort of fit that sort of that Bollywood, not Bollywood, sorry, it's a Bollywood dance. I'm getting all confused, but sort of fit that style of that musical, right? The sort of traditional musical, and this one's very modern. It's very it is very La La Land and Greatest Showman. I believe the writers from The Greatest Showman wrote this song, Speechless. I don't know what the impact it will have. I've heard some people say they really, really love it, and some people are saying it's going to win the Academy Award for Best Song at the coming Oscars. It might. I mean, it has a good message, and it's a Disney film, so they'll push it, and it has it's coming from the La La Land, pardon me, and Greatest Showman songwriters. So we'll see. I think it's a good song, actually. So that's. Oh, I did put it in my positives. Um, so, Arabian Nights. I know they want to use Will Smith, but Will Smith is not a trained singer. So, and they don't use Robin Williams for that in the original. They use, I don't know the name of the gentleman who sang it, but they use a singer, a trained singer, to sing Arabian Nights in the original film. So I don't know why they didn't do it here. They want to use Will Smith. They want to put him in the film more, because he's at the beginning of the film, and then he sort of, not disappears, but he's not in the first half of the first act. That's Aladdin and Jasmine's story, and then Jasmine is also courted by Prince Anders. I'm going to butcher his name, but his first name is Billy. I think it's Billy Magnuson. He was in, oh my goodness, he was in another Disney film. It was Into the Woods. He was the prince, the brother of Chris Pine, Prince Charming. So he was good in that. He apparently he has really, and it shows in this film, he has really good comedic timing or comedic ability. He has a very small role in this film. I actually wanted a little bit more of him. I thought they could have put him in the scene. He's in the party scene later on in the middle of the film. I thought he could have had a few more lines there, but they sort of, cut away from him very quickly. So that's sort of mixed. I thought he did a good job. I could have used a little bit more of him, Prince Anders. So yes, Arabian Nights, not great. It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't make me too angry. One Jump Ahead. Mina is not a trained singer either, and it shows. It's like that song, One Jump Ahead, has so much energy, and it's so fast in the original. And this one is a little bit slower, and it seems like Mina Masood couldn't. He does a good job in the film, but it seems like it's a very quick song, right? So his voice or his singing, or lack thereof singing ability, he couldn't keep up with the pace of it, so it's a slower version of it. So because it's slower, it's actually less energetic, even though there's a lot of things happening on screen. Again, it's live action, so it makes sense that it's slower. I did like some of the parkour moves that Aladdin performs in the film. I mean, I know that's old hat by this point. In 2019 it's old hat, but I thought it was a couple of nice touches in there for that. That was in the good section, sorry. I forgot that. So it's a bit slower than the original, not as energetic. I don't know if this is good or bad, but there was no Prince Ali reprise by Jafar, which is one of the... It's so short. I know it's not very long in the original film, but it's one of my favorite villain songs. It's not even a song, it's half a song, but or it's a reprise, but it's so good in the original, and you don't miss it in this film because you have a new song, Speechless, and it's woven in, and also, quite frankly, the actor, I don't think the actor can sing at all, that's why he didn't do it, probably. So yes, on to the negatives. There's really nothing in the film that makes me upset or anything. Even, I don't know his name, but I should have looked it up beforehand, sorry, I apologize. But, so the actor playing Jafar, he's getting a lot of criticism, and all these reviews, I try to be positive and not too negative. He didn't really, at first especially, like his first maybe 2 or 3 scenes, he didn't bother me at all. Like, I thought he was doing a really decent job, and then, by possibly the halfway point, certainly the 3/4 through the film, it's very one note, it's very, and Jafar, they try to give him more backstory, not backstory, a little bit of backstory. I like that dialogue scene, actually, between him and Aladdin, where he's saying, oh, I was a thief when I was, a young man like you, right? And I came from nothing, I was poor, and look at me now, right? You have to be the most important man in the room, or else you're nothing. Like, that's his mentality, and I thought that was nice, because in the original film, he's just evil, which is great. Like uh, he's so evil in a sort of sneaky, sinister way, and then a little bit creepy with Jasmine at the end. But yeah, so there's nothing like it pales in comparison. Really, I can say that. Like I can say that even though I like the film. Um, I can say this Jafar really pales in comparison to the original Jafar. Just his voice, the voice acting for Jafar. I think he had a deeper voice, a more menacing. Uh, Really, even like the humor, like in the original Aladdin, like it's on purpose, right? And his, his voice when he says, Prince Abubu, right? It's so funny, and it's so great in the original. Here, there's really no comedy with this Jafar. No intentional comedy. There's some unintentional comedy, but yes, by the third quarter of the film, 3/4 mark. Yes, it's very one note. I can agree with that. It's very. There's no. There's nothing. There's really no fun to the character. He's just there to be evil, and he's just there to be really move the plot forward. I will say for negatives, I thought the third act. At first, I was okay with it. I thought, turning Iago into a giant, yes, giant bird of prey, like a more sinister version of himself, the bird. I thought that was cool at first. I thought it was different, but then I was like, oh, it's really lacking. Like, it's really not. Like, the third act in Aladdin is incredible, the 1992 version. I mean, he's a sorcerer. He sings the Prince Ali reprise. He, uses his I don't know, staff, his snake staff. Pardon me. Uh, he uses staff to so he has like a golf club, which is sort of brilliant, and he sort of uh, kicks or he sort of uses magic to uh, kick Aladdin out of there, basically, to throw Aladdin all the way to, I don't know where he is, the Himalayas or wherever it's freezing. But yeah, so it's really lacking. Like, there's none of that. And when he becomes the dark genie at the end, he's red and he's so like it looks so cool. Like, actually, I think he has a little bit of a like his hair is actually like Will Smith's hair in this one, which is funny. But like it looks so cool. It looks so evil, menacing again, and he just becomes the actor again. I don't know his name, but I probably can't pronounce it anyways. But he sort of just becomes a giant version of himself, like a shirtless version of himself. And he has a decent body, and he has that going for him. And I don't think he's just slightly miscast. I don't think he's a bad actor. I mean, I think some of like the dialogue scene with Aladdin I liked. I thought the beginning it showed him as evil. He I guess his servant or whatever he is, he kicks his servant down a well for no reason really, just to show that he's evil. But yeah, I mean, they should have got. My wife said Javier Bardem. That would have been really terrifying. I don't think he would have done it, but someone a little bit. I don't even know. Not Benedict Cumberbatch. That would have been really really bad. But yes, I'm sure there's a Middle Eastern actor that could have done a slightly better job. I don't want to harp too much on the poor guy. He did what he could. I think he's a decent actor. I think he's just miscast. His voice even, he has a higher voice, a higher cadence to his voice, and for a man, speaking, just from a personal opinion point of view, well, this is all personal opinion, but a personal experience, my voice isn't incredibly deep. It can be quite high sometimes, and it's sort of hard to be intimidating when your voice is, a little bit higher. So unfortunately, that happened to him. I want to wrap up here. So those are the only negative things. I think Jafar in the third act was a little bit slightly disappointing for me. I thought they could have went bigger with it. I thought um, the genie was a little bit muted there. I know it's a more calm and serious take on the genie, but I mean, there's no humor from him for the entire climax of the film. So there's none of that sort of like even like, what are you doing, kid? Like, stop doing that, kid. Like, stop giving him the idea of becoming the genie. Are you crazy? You know, there's none of that. It's very subtle, right? What Will Smith does, and I like what he does. Again, I think he does a good job. But it's very like, you know, he just looks at Aladdin. Um, yeah, again, I think some of the musical numbers, I like Prince Ali. I think they could have given Aladdin a little bit more to do. Uh, Again, it's a very not serious, sort of serious, but it's sort of like a very, which is strange because there's a genie, but it's a very realistic take on the film, if that makes sense. Like, genie doesn't go like this, and then, you know, Aladdin's muscles increase by 10, right? Or they're double the size of what they were, or triple the size. Um, which is a gag that really works in the animated film. So overall, I really enjoyed this film. I think it's very good. I think it's relatively entertaining. It's enjoyable. There's nothing in the film, even though there were a couple of things that I mentioned in the negative section. But there's nothing in the film that offends me, like really, you know, really makes me upset. Like there have been some films that like have really angered me. I'm trying to use, you know, nice words here, and not use other words. But like there have been some films that have left me upset, like walking out of the theater. And this one is, I guess it's more not innocent, but it's a film that I love so much. Like I love Aladdin so much, the 1992 version, that they would have to do something really strange or really offensive for me to hate a version of that story, because it's, you know, just on the ground level, you know, at the base, it's a great story. It's difficult to mess up in a way. I know some people don't like this film, but and that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. But I enjoyed it. As for my rating, I will give it. Had 24 hours to think about this. I will give it 3.6 out of 5 stars. That might be a little bit low to some of you, might be a bit high to other people, but I think it's a fair score, or fair mark. I think it's actually quite a good film. I just think there are a couple of odd moments, or again with the speechless reprise in the film, and maybe even one jump ahead. Sorry, I said it Prince Ali before, I believe, but it's one jump ahead. That could have been a little bit faster, a little bit more energetic. I know it's live action, but I think you could have done a little bit more with it. Yes, and so just some minor quibbles. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to make a perfect film nowadays. Well, it's hard to make a perfect film in general. Even films that I love so much, like Aladdin. I don't want to get into that. Aladdin 1992, it's pretty perfect. But yes, so that's my rating. I hope you've enjoyed this review. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. What do you think about this film? Do you like it? Are you sick of the Disney live-action remakes? Do you want them to do more original films? You know, original, maybe adaptations of some popular children's books or young adult books, which they've tried, I believe. But or do you just want them to leave it to Walt Disney Animation to do the original films, and they can keep making these live action films? So tell me what you think. I really appreciate it, and I've said this before, and I will say it again. I want that Little Mermaid film. Aquaman proved it's possible. I want it, and if that's the final one, great. Mulan, Little Mermaid, let's do it. Do those two. Well, you're doing Mulan, so just release it. But do a good job. But make The Little Mermaid, do a great job, and then I'm happy. We're fine. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time. Okay? Bye.